Hey, what is up guys, Speed here, and today I want to start the video by showing you a pretty scary clip. Honestly, when I first saw this, I didn't realize Drow's ultimate was potentially this impactful. But yeah, today's video is about Drow, and I want to show you really how strong Drow's aura is with very little agility items. For anyone who doesn't know how Drow's ulti works, is it gives agility to her teammates around her based on a percentage of her own agility, not their agility. It's based upon Drow's agility. So if Drow has 100 agility, everyone around her gets 44 agility, because, well, if she's level 18, just to be clear. And so as this SF is approaching the Drow, you can see that he has 18 armor and 110 agility currently. Now, as he walks close to the Drow, whose only agility items are Treads, a Wraithband, Dragon Lance, and Butterfly, which, you know, is a fair amount, but it's not crazy expensive. Right, that's just two major items. Look how much armor, agility, and damage he actually gets. From 18 armor to 29. And he also got about 70 damage. Now, you could say speed, but the problem is Drow's ulti can be cancelled if anyone gets on top of her. And while I would agree, that's the thing about Drow lineups. The thing is, you pick this hero when you know, or you generally know, that the enemy team has a hard time getting on top of you, or you have heroes to protect you, and that's why Drow has been getting picked more and more. I think this aura is just very underrated. I also think Drums is a great item that works very well with Drow lineups, and Dragonlance was recently buffed, kind of just adding up to Drow being a pretty solid hero right now. So if you're excited for this video, smash that like button, subscribe, and of course, subscribe to the GameLeap website as well, in the description down below. I'll tell you guys more about it in a second. Here we go. I got a whole plethora of videos coming. Let me quickly, let me talk about what I got. I'm gonna go look just for you guys. So, I got two videos I'm about to tell you about. Number one that's coming to the website is the advanced tips that no one knows to win the lane. I show you every little thing that happens in the laning stage that you can use to win the laning stage. Then, I also have a clock 4 analysis on how I talk about how to get free kills and how to find pickoffs using the mini-maps. So over on the website, as you can see, I really dive deep into some advanced topics, and they're just going to help you get to the next rank even faster than you currently are, because I know if you're watching these videos, you are skyrocketing. But now let's hop right into the gameplay, and there's a couple things I just want to mention to start off the game. We'll quickly go over skill build, item builds, etc. Now, first things first, let's look at these starting items. He has very little actual regen, and I think the reason for this in this lane in particular is Nature's Prophet won't pressure your exact hero at level 1, however, he will pressure you later on. The main thing he does pressure at level 1 and level 2 is actually the creeps, right? He's going to try to deny a large majority of the creeps, especially against a hero like Drow, who doesn't have a nuke. I guess you could consider multi-shot a nuke, but not really, especially not at level 1. And therefore he goes a Quelling Blade, which you can actually buy on Drow, gives you 6 damage for creeps, a Slippers of Agility, a Circlet, a Fairy Fire, and 3 Tangos as well. Now, if you think your lane is going to be hard, after you get the runes, you want to ship out 3 more Tangos. In this game, I don't believe he does, at least right away, but it is something that pros often do. Now, really the key to the laning stage in Drow is sort of simple. It's secure the last hits, and then if your opponent is standing in or next to the creep wave, you hit them. And that's all the laning stage really is, and you might be saying, well, Speed, I do that. The question is, if you want to become a good Drow, how often do you hit them in between the creeps? That really is the question, and the thing that, in my opinion, separates, the good Drows from the great Drows, or the decent Drows from the good Drows. How often do you hit them in between the creeps? And we'll see in this lane, it's not too much. And you might be saying, well, Speed, then how does Dahak, well, how would you consider or even bother looking at Dahak replay where, he doesn't hit the Prophet too much? The thing is, it's a Prophet. If you're playing against Underlord or a Tidehunter, I would expect you to hit them a lot, right? A ton. And that's kind of how you need to look at your matchup. If you're playing against any sort of melee hero, you need to be hitting them all the time in between the creeps, right? And that's really the key to Drow. You build up a lot of levels, you push them off the creep wave by hitting them a ton with the helps of a hero like Bane, Undying, Treant, Clockwork. All these heroes are really good. You want a strong laner with Drow. If you don't pick a strong laner with Drow, you might get run over. You might just get run down and beat to death. The next thing to note is Drow's level 3 power spike. Level 3 on Drow is when you really can start to kite your opponents very, very hard. Also, Frost Arrows give you bonus damage, Personally, I barely even knew this until recently. I don't know why. Sometimes you just like miss certain patch notes, but it gives you 10 damage at level 2, which is a lot. And I think this is a big spike, but it's mostly about the slow. Once you get that slow to about 32%, you can really just kite people super hard. You can prevent them from getting on top of you and attack move very effectively to get the maximum amount of damage without taking any damage. You can see he's going to go in very aggressive. His Bane gets gone on, and this is why Bane and other tanky heroes are so good with Drow. Basically, you want your 5 to make a distraction as you rip in to your opponent. That, like, literally, that is what you want to do on Drow, and that's how the laning stage should be. Your support should be tanking the damage, and you should just be ripping into them from the back. As you can see, he's also pulling a lot of creep aggro. I feel like people just kind of dismiss creep aggro on ranged heroes, purely for the fact that it can be kind of uncomfortable to have to walk up, pull aggro as a ranged hero, but really do keep in mind if your lane is hard, you still need to pull aggro like every other hero in order to stay safe. Another thing I want to note is the next set of items he's actually going to ship out, which is a mango and another wraith band. Mangoes are very important on Drow. You are going to be using a lot of mana. I think people don't realize this, but Drow is actually a very mana hungry hero, especially in the laning stage, and therefore you need to ship out these mangoes, because what you can do is drop the wraith bands in order to eat the mangoes and get a lot of value out of it, which is very important in the laning stage. You can even see that he has a clarity queued up here, and he'll be buying clarities throughout the game. So once again, make sure you're using mana to farm, using a ton of mana in the lane to actually deal a bunch of damage, and so on. And the last thing I'd like to mention is the fact that he actually takes level 3 in Frost Arrows. In the past, when I was watching Drow and Drow was giga popular and could one-shot Ancients, from what I saw, most people would actually max out the multi-shot, but it seems like this extra bonus damage from Frost Arrows, it scales well, right? Going up 5 per level is no joke early into the game. It also technically is a buff to multi-shot, sort of, and the movement slow is crazy good. Like, you can see in this lane here, when he's going on them, unfortunately he does run out of mana, but they can't fight it. If you get caught even slightly out of position against Drow, and you're not playing Quap to blink out, you're kind of dead, and that's the reality. If you can give your Drow a lot of solo XP to start, and you're playing a 5 with a Drow, you're also going to crush the lane. So keep that in mind, guys. Try to give Drow solo XP. She scales very, very well with levels. In the past, she didn't necessarily need that many levels to hit a spike, but now I think she definitely does, especially level 6. Now we're going to see here in minute 8, he does his first jungling of the game, and the reason for this is he was just dove under tower, he got a kill, and his lane is starting to get sketchy. Drow, around minute 8, minute 9 is very easy to gank. Reason being is simply because you don't have mobility and you don't have high HP. On agility treads, he has 800 HP. That's obviously not a lot, and therefore, you guys really want to start jungling around this point in the game, especially when you can get neutral items like Iron Talon, the most broken item in the game, which he's taking too long to use here. But the point is, these neutral items are very strong, and the nuker heroes that typically threaten Drow in the early game hit level 5, level 6 spikes very hard and can easily kill Drow, such as Tinies, even Pudge, Nature's Prophet, Alina mid can one-shot you essentially. And so at this point in the game, this is when you really just want to start moving around and dodging. You see how the enemy team is top? That's why he goes bottom. He doesn't just casually TP bottom, he's not going bottom to take the tower, he's going bottom to get farm. Drow doesn't push anymore. Don't pick Drow and push towers. 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in. Don't do it. It's not good. That's like a million years ago. That's out of the window. Can you push a tier 1 as Drow? Right? Yeah, of course. Let's say you gank the safe lane. You see a fight going on bottom, you get a kill, you can push a tower. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. But that is not your main goal as Drow. Your main goal as Drow is to increase your net worth in any way possible. So if going for a tower is going to threaten your life, do not do it. You can see here, I like what he's doing here. He does actually end up going down and gets ganked. So he does slightly overextend. There's no denying that. Definitely a bit of misplay on his end here. You can see you want to take as safe farm as possible and avoid dying like that, as Drow's major spike, in my opinion, when she's the strongest in the game, sort of. Strongest in the early to mid game is when she hits that Dragonlance timing. It is ridiculous how hard it is to fight into Drow. Also, one thing to note is that playing bottom side with an Iron Talon is particularly good. Reason being, well, it's very simple. I think everyone knows the reason. It's Iron Talon. It's just still so good. 40% max health of an Ancient camp lets you kill it really quickly. And even if you don't have an Iron Talon, Ancients are still really good to kill. They're still very effective. Next thing we're going to see here is he's actually shifting over to a fight. His team is doing quite well right now. The SF had a good game. The Timber had a very, very good game. And so it makes sense that he's going to show up to clean up fights. Now this one doesn't really work out. Unfortunately, the Prophet lives on a very low amount of HP. But guys, do not play Drow as either all in on fighting or all in on farming, right? You really want to be this balance. Drow is a balance. You can see it in this upcoming clip here. The Bane has grip, and so he TP's top. This is a very heads-up play where he understands, hey, just because I'm a carry doesn't mean I can't help out my team, right? Especially if you're Drow. Now, if you're playing, let's say, if you're playing Alchemist, you probably won't make a TP play like this. Could you? Well, in this case, actually, you could. You know, Fiend's Grip is just so powerful, but you guys see the point that I'm saying? Show up to fights where you know you can stay in the back and just cast a casual multi-shot. It's very effective and it's going to make the difference. And really the main thing that I'd like to note is that he spends a large portion of this game in the triangle. And I only like to really stress this type of thing because I see a lot of players get in this habit where they're fighting very often around this mid area. And what they do is they fight mid, then they walk to here, they kill this camp, and then they kill this camp. And the problem is, once you get to this camp, you're halfway across the map from Ancients, you're across the map from the lane, from mid lane, from bottom lane. You're not close to anything effective. You're not even close to fights. And so I really recommend you stay more towards the triangle, where at least if you're going to be AFK farming, you're taking Ancients. You can even see in that clip there, he went for a stack as well, which is particularly efficient, even able to transition it immediately into a bottom wave. Now, the next item he goes is where things really get interesting, and I'll explain the reasoning behind this. So, he's going to be going a Butterfly next item. You also can go E-Blade from what I've seen. It's a bit weird. Most people are going Butterfly, so just stick to that. Don't listen to me. But basically, the reason for this is that you want to have a ton of agility. It's not really a crazy concept, but how multi-shot works is that multi-shot, it shoots out these arrows, and what it's based upon is your base damage. Base damage. Right, guys? If you buy something like Deso on Drow, it is not good. It's not good. You need base damage, right? Because how your multi-shot works, and that's a large portion of your damage in the mid-game especially, not necessarily late game, but definitely mid-game, is the fact that it's based off your base damage. And therefore, what you want to do is buy agility. Also, your ultimate gives other people armor, agility, and damage, well, if they're an agility hero, based upon your agility. So, obviously buying a bunch of agility is good. And yes, you can even buy Butterfly against team comps that don't have physical damage. A lot of people might say, well, speed, surely I would only buy this against, like, you know, a Lifestealer Nature's Prophet draft. I mean, to be fair, they have a Caster Lina, they have a Tiny, they have a Pudge, and yes, you could buy this against casters as well. All you have to do is stay much further back. And if you think you're really going to die, maybe they have a Clockwork who's going on you every fight, then you want to skip out on the Butterfly and buy like a Hurricane Pike first, right? Delay that timing a little bit just to make sure you can stay alive. I'm not saying go Butterfly every single time. The next thing to mention is Drow is this very interesting fight here. So he ends up going down with Aegis, and I want to ask you guys a question in a second here. So he's respawning. What does he want to gust? Now, obviously right here, it's a very clear gust. This is his first option, his first play 100%. He needs to make sure he doesn't get Avatos. So he's going to gust up. Now the Tiny ends up going on the backline. He wants to get a two-man combo here, which makes sense. And so what's his next major threat? Well, it's either Pudge or it's the Lina. Prophet's not too bad. He can sort of just man up to the Prophet at this point in the game. He just has so much armor naturally through all these agility items, and therefore he needs to make sure he silences the Lina. And the main point of this, main reason why I'm asking you guys this question is, do you know, when you're playing a hero like Drow, or any hero, do you know who threatens you in the fights? Do you have kind of an idea before you go into the fight of who threatens you? Or do you just approach every single fight randomly? Because there, if he didn't silence the Lina, he likely would have gotten stunned and likely would have gone down as well. But because that doesn't happen, they're able to kite around, the Night Stalker gets off the Void onto the Lina, and he cleans up the fight. And yeah, by the way, that all started with an 18-minute Roshan, actually a 17-minute Roshan. And so yeah, if you have any other right clicker, you have a Dusa, you have a Avenge, you have a Tusk, you have SF on your team, go take Rosh. Take Rosh. You're playing Drow. Go kill Rosh. Smoking a Rosh, kill it. In pubs, it's a guaranteed Rosh. Like, literally, just take it. Now, getting towards the mid-late game, I just want to give you guys a bit of a tip on your farming patterns. At this point of the game, you want to be fighting, you want to show up to every single fight, with a very small amount of exceptions. And so here you can see he's jungling the top side, not actually taking Ancients right now. And the only reason for this is he just wants to be relatively close to his team. If they go on him, he wants to be ready, so he sees them smoke, and he's paying very close attention. However, look at his positioning. You see how he's not just sitting right here on this hill, waiting for Timber to get gone on? It's because it's all about vision with Drow. It's all about vision. You do not want the enemy team to see you before you see them. Does that make sense? You never, ever, ever want to be that close to a fight until it's been prepped. So once they've gone onto this Timber, once they are all inning on this Timber, that is when he's ready to go in, right? That is when he knows he can go in, and it's going to be an easy multi-shot from the background. The Prophet ends up getting feared, he gets that kill, and then at this point, all you do is hit the person that is closest to you, right? That's it. If there's a gust opportunity, you gust. If they're too far away for auto attacks, you can use multi-shot, as he does there. And, you know, if you're this far ahead, the fights are very, very straightforward. Other than that, you're really just gusting the first person you see. Drow is very straightforward. The main thing to consider really is how you cast multi-shot. Even here, this is a good example of it. You really want to only cast multi-shot either if it's initiating a fight, to prevent, like to cancel blinks, things like that, or once they're out of attack range. So you see how he auto-attacks Tiny here and doesn't instantly multi-shot? He only multi-shots once the Tiny is out of attack range. Sure, he could have attack moved to prevent having to do that, but he likely doesn't want to have to overextend, and so instead he just goes for the multi-shot then. They pick up another kill, and that's just great positioning. Main point to take out of that though, stay in the back. Stay out of vision until the fight starts, right? Otherwise, you're gonna get jumped and you're gonna die, especially if you go this sort of build. You're not tanky. Tiny nearly can one-shot him. Oh, and then here comes the clarities. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Am I getting a copyright strike for that? Yeah, you need to buy a lot of clarities mid-game. Alright, let's quickly talk about the talents. So at level 10, he took 5 all stats, 50% gust blind. While it's actually kind of good, like, I feel like it's somewhat of an underrated talent. It's just, stats are just too good on Drow, really. At level 15, he took minus 6 second multi-shot cooldown. The agility is not bad, but you're buying so many agility items anyway, and having multi-shot to farm and fight on a 14 second cooldown is just so valuable. And then finally at level 20, you want to take it the 28% multi-shot damage. That is definitely non-negotiable. The silence is good, but very often at this point of the game, especially if you're starting to gain a lot of MMR and people are buying dispels and BKBs, it's just not going to be, you don't need that long of a silence most of the time. And one more thing I'd like to mention, as I nearly just forgot it as well, so I'd like to bring it up, because, Drow's Ultimate is just one of those abilities that it's just confusing. Like, it really is just a confusing ability, but if there's anyone within 400 range of you, it just doesn't work. You just can't use it, so that's why you really need to stay out of vision. Even just getting jumped, even if you don't die, you're getting neutered in terms of effectiveness. And most importantly, one thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that your ultimate only works on ranged heroes. So a hero like Timber and Night Stalker won't get it. That doesn't mean you should be picking 5 ranged heroes with Drow, because if you pick the 5 ranged heroes with Drow, the aura is going to get cancelled, because there's likely no one to prevent you from getting jumped, right? A hero like Bane is great, right, because it does still prevent you from getting jumped, but heroes like Timber and Night Stalker are still fantastic with Drow, as they prevent her from getting gone on at all, right? They completely protect her, and even though they don't get the aura, they enable heroes like SF and Bane to continue getting the aura, because they keep the Drow safe. So make sure when you're picking Drow, I recommend you have at least one other right clicker. Honestly, you don't have to though. There are pro teams that pick like Void Drow. I think I've seen that recently if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, you definitely want to have frontliners. That's actually just as important as other right clickers, ranged right clickers. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do like and subscribe. For his third item, he'll be buying data lists. This is also very common. Some games you'll have to buy a BKB. Obviously that just depends. You have to assess, what am I dying to, or do I need to just do more damage? Am I getting jumped at all? But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please smash that subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section down below, by the way, as well, what hero I should do next. I've been just doing a lot more hero guides. Obviously, there hasn't been a patch or anything like that lately, so there isn't too much to talk about on that end. Hopefully, there will be one soon. Been kind of, missing out on those patches. Thanks for watching. Once again, let me know in the comments what hero I should do next, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota, or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to GameLeap.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics, or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster, because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream, and that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're going to see there, and I hope to see you there right now. So click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.